It has now been more than 2 weeks since a Rochester man went missing from his home. His family members say they're left with no leads, and with less than a week before Christmas, they say they're unable to process this reality. Uong Ong is 76 years old. KIMT News 3's Sananda McCall spoke with the man's wife and stepdaughter today and shares where they stand in this search. Sananda, what do we know tonight?
Hey, Cammie, the two that I spoke with say they are trying to pinpoint where their loved one could be, but they tell me with the current weather and the busyness of the holiday travel, they're losing hope.
It's been 16 days. I saw him driving on 7th Street.
That's where Rosie Pesh says she last saw her stepfather Uong Ong before he went missing on December 3rd. She sat with her mother Ong's wife Bolak recapping the events of the couple moving into Rosie's home just this year.
I think it was May around there. Yeah, during the summer, I wanted my parents to be closer to me because I recently just, lost my biological father.
Rosie says the day before Ong went missing, he and Bolak had gotten into a small argument. The next morning, things were quiet. And by 3 that afternoon, Bolak says her husband had left the home, leaving behind his jewelry, wallet, and phone on the living room table.
She's really worried and she's panicking because she doesn't know if he is at the point where he did harm himself.
And normal day-to-day activities have become unbearable.
She hasn't been eating normally. She hasn't been sleeping because she would just look outside, any kind of movement and stuff out there. She would think that maybe he's coming back home.
Ong, a 76-year-old, is described as being sharp-minded. Every morning he would go work out, take his medicine, and often went to his appointments. He was described as handy around the home.
I feel like he's been there for me more than my biological father, in the 3 years that I've known him.
Helping Rosie put up this tree to help make his home feel like home, which leaves his family wondering what would cause him to leave it. Rosie says to Ong, if he is listening,
we care for him. If he's thinking about a lot of things, we want to be there and listen to him. My mom just wants to say, if my stepdad is watching this, just for him to come home. We'll discuss whatever issues that we have together. We'll forgive each other.
Ong is also believed to have been without his diabetes medication. Rosie and her mother say they can't search for Ong alone, and law enforcement can only do so much. They're calling on the community for support. Cammie?
Sananda, thank you so much. Ong is described as 5'1" and 120 pounds with gray hair and brown eyes. His vehicle was a light blue 2004 Toyota Camry sedan. If you have any information on his whereabouts, we do have the family's contact information on our website. That's KIMT.com. You can also, of course, reach out to police.